We're going to make something happen tonight. Welcome to A New Voice on the Case all month long. In the month of June, we'll be covering Sebastian Rogers. We're going to get right into it as soon as I can find my groove here on a Tuesday night. All right. So we have two interviews today. One is a Nick Beres interview. This is the news channel out of Nashville, Channel 5, titled New Details into the Family of the Missing 15-Year-Old Boy in Sumner County. This interview was conducted and uploaded February 28th, and then it was last updated just a couple hours later. So there's two edits on this one by Nick Beres, Beres, once again out of Nashville, Tennessee, WTVF. There is an article that's associated with the interview between himself and Sheriff Darren Hall of the Davidson County Sheriff's Office, Davidson County. So I want to reiterate that because we really have three counties we've heard about. We've heard about Montgomery County, we've heard about Davidson County, and Sumner County. So Sumner, of course, is the lead investigator for Sebastian's disappearance. I believe Davidson County is the county to which the father is employed. And then Montgomery County, if I'm not mistaken, is the county to which there is a lawsuit between a Texana Fernandez and Mr. Rogers. So just in the general region within stone's throw, three counties are involved. So if that helps, kind of clear it up as to where these counties and the county seats and all the different things that each county has the right to adopt and what we will hear from Sheriff Darren Hall over the next few moments is describing those differences and how the counties help one another. And I do believe it is in this interview where we learn the amount of personal time off, the PTO, that was donated by Davidson County to service and benefit the father. Okay, I believe that this is the article. The interview. So let's just go ahead and get into it, and we'll do our typical stall review, stall play review, that sort of thing. So here we go. Let's make sure that you'll have good sound coming forward too out of it.
My name is Dr. Stephen Park with Same Day Smile. Most important thing for me is for them to feel like I'm their friend. I'm on their side to help them achieve their dream of having a brand new smile. Procedure called All on 4 is the major focus of our practice, where you have patient come in with their bad teeth.
We'll get through the ad.
I couldn't be more thrilled. And Dr. Park, what he wants to do is make sure that I'm happy.
I would highly recommend Same Day Smiles to anybody.
Okay, here we go.
Hey, I wanted to ask you, before we go to our first break, and I know you're not probably directly involved in any way, and by the way, we'll take some phone calls, but you've heard about this case where the autistic child, the 15-year-old, is missing out of Sumner County. The Sheriff's Department, the TBI involved. I think he went missing maybe a couple days ago?
It's the Sheriff's Office, but keep going.
Oh, gosh. Sheriff's Office. I was going to say, by the way, I was going to send you this past weekend, besides the money, several posts from around the state that have been sent to me where the Sheriff's Office, and I get an exception here, it says, anyone who has information, please contact the Sheriff's Department. And the sheriffs themselves are writing this.
Well,
it's all out there. And he's correct. It is Sheriff's Office. And the problem is it continues to perpetuate among sheriffs themselves, calling it department at a lot of sheriff's offices across the state. What's with that? You are hardcore on this, and I owe you money every time I say that. But the reason sometimes I go back is I keep seeing it referred to as...
So if Huey came home when he was in school and said everybody else is doing it, did you allow him to?
Well, no, but when the sheriffs themselves refer to their place of employment as department, I defer to, if you work there, I'm like, well, you're the sheriff, that's what you want it to be called. What am I supposed to do? Call them out? That's their choice, I guess, right?
Well, sure.
They're the top dogs there, yes.
So we have to suffer through this a little bit, this morning line show. He's just trying to kind of what's called wet the whistle a little bit for the interview, get each party on even footing where they're going to go with the interview. So this is why there's this back and forth of the difference between the sheriff's office and the sheriff's department. But I think the whole sheriff's thing is really difficult for everybody to understand, because are you a law enforcement officer? Are you a sheriff? Are you a sheriff's deputy? Are you a lieutenant? Are you a chief investigator? Like all of these ranks that each of the counties have.
I would if I'm not just because everyone else does it, but who's to say that you're correct and all these other sheriffs are wrong?
Look it up. I mean, it's pretty simple. I mean,
why did they call them? It's in news releases. It's funny. I was going to send it to you. I go, take a look at this.
No, I agree with. Of course, I was the president of the National Sheriff's Association.
So you would know.
There's a great there's a magazine that they have once a month. We ought to send it to you. It's kind of cool. But it was I think you wrote an article for it monthly or every other month, whatever. And I think the name of the article we put together was "What's in a D." And it's the department, and so go through explaining why it's important and all that, and try to, because it's, I mean, all joking aside.
You've explained it, and you're absolutely right. It is an office.
But it offends me more when someone in the office does it, and these agencies do it. I mean, I've seen it on literature. Yeah, you're exactly right. It's a, and it doesn't mean much, except it is a part of the dilemma that.
So this might be helpful when we're addressing the law enforcement generally, is having some knowledge that might be useful, because there has been crossovers, and they're talking about it because there has been crossovers for all throughout the history of this, department versus office dilemma, and sheriff versus a sheriff lieutenant, and so as I said before, so it's good for us to kind of know
that sheriff's offices struggle with around the country, really about, even especially in a city like this, where you've got a metro police and a sheriff's office, the department office exchange of that. It tells you something. It tells you that you elect one and you appoint the other, all those things.
Exactly.
It's confusing, but
there's
out
a
there,
reason.
It's fun to do. We cut up even with the sheriffs. I mean, there's been around the country. There's some who say it themselves, but I haven't got collecting their money yet.
Well, it is police department, sheriff's office.
Because you've never messed up and said police office when I've been on here.
Exactly. That's right, because then you never hear it in.
Okay, they'll get into it in just a moment. Okay, but did you catch that one thing, is that, for example, I believe Sheriff Craddock of Sumner County is elected. He's an elective sheriff. And just like there's elected judges. So even going back into Craddock's CV, he may have been with the department for XYZ years, but he still had to, I believe so. He may have been, I believe he was like sheriff pro tem, because his boss fell and died, hit his head and died at a law enforcement conference, all part of the Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers case. He fell, cracked his head open, and passed away. So Craddock took over, maybe sheriff pro tem, but I do believe he had to be elected, and he was elected. We should probably check on that, because there's great criticism about Sheriff Craddock. Now, this is not Sheriff Craddock. This is Seth Rogers' big man boss, this fellow right here. So let's keep going.
Releases, that's what they call themselves, but there's a, whatever. Anyway, the sheriff's office in Sumner County is involved with the search for that 15-year-old. I'm just curious, when it goes out in a bolo, and as it is now, it's going on its third day of not finding this child. And the child, in my belief, could still, as an autistic child, be hiding somewhere.
Now, did you hear that? Even this early on, it was a bolo. Okay, that was no new news if you've been following the case at all, and all the people that have been involved in the case. It was a bolo from the get-go, okay, which is be on the lookout. Be on the lookout.
Still be fearful. You always wonder at what point in the game, the consideration of maybe some type of foul play, which they have not said is the case yet. But do you ever have, if a neighboring county, when this happens, is there any involvement? And I'm sure the police department or the sheriff's office here, are you even aware of this? Would you have any contact with the sheriff there? Like, well, we can keep our eye out here in Davidson County.
See, listen to this. This is so curious to me. So the father comes into Sumner County, and I believe he was wearing part of his uniform or some of his uniform or something like that. I believe also that the truck was wrapped with the attorney's, um, advertisement for the attorney, the 1-800 get me out of jail attorney. And so they're talking about how the how the police departments help each other and go back and forth. But remember, he was caravanned back to his Clarksville home, which is Davidson County, and they didn't pass him over to Davidson County sheriffs at all to go to the house, do the wellness check in the house, examine the house, whatever. We heard all sorts of different things about what they did in the house. We'll cover that a little bit later in other interviews. But there was quite a disruption there, and that was all Sumner County. From what we understand, they didn't meet Dave. There were no Davidson County police officers there. When he arrived back home through this caravan activity, where he left the Proudfoot home, it was caravan to his apartment duplex, whatever you want to call the residence. And so, but Beres here is kind of describing that, that they kind of all work together, and he is going to basically correct him here.
Yeah. Have you heard anything at this point on this?
It's a good question. A couple things. One that you would want to know: the birth father of this child works for us in this situation. Now, I don't know the relationship. There's a lot of conversation about that, but he is an officer.
Whoa. He worked for us.
Officer with us, been here a year or so. That's not information from him coming to us. We understand that that's the case. We always get asked to participate and help in these types of situations. Some version of it. It could be, will you assist in helping? We have 2 staff members who work for us who have, in their private life, they have dogs that search, and so they go out, volunteer their time. They've been up there the whole time helping on their own. But we have to be really careful because it's their private dog. It's not the sheriff's office stuff, but they volunteer in doing that. We have other folks on our special operations response teams who go out and volunteer their time and help. Where it gets a little weird is and it's usually through the Office of Emergency Management for Davidson County that's also working with Sumner County. That's how we get connected to it. Where we have some issues is, and this sounds real petty, but sending people who are getting paid to do a job here over into other counties and do it. So it's I hate to say it, it's almost a volunteer situation. Okay. Because we don't have the equipment.
But you're kind of a camaraderie, the fraternity.
Right.
You help each other when you can.
Right. And
they volunteer, I bet. They
right.
do so.
Right. And we would even do some where you're on the clock doing it. It just always is a...
Okay, now this guy's a reasonable sounding guy, right? He's explaining it. We never heard this. At his own, besides the PTO, we never heard that Davidson County did their part and did their share in as much as they can. That's reasonable, because they have to figure out how to pay the officers, how to license them, what are they going to drive, what are they going to wear, all of these things. But he seems like a reasonable person. But yet I'm going to say it again. Sorry if I'm repeating myself, but we never heard this. We've never heard a thank you from his own department. And okay, let's keep going.
Weird deal, because what happens if it's Murray County? What happens if you just keep going? And so we've had this conversation. We've had some people up there volunteering. We have some other folks who are kind of in wait to do certain things. But it's just a show of force. It's extra eyes and ears. I mean, we don't have any special skills that would help you in any way. But we usually work through OEM, who is working through OEM out of Sumner County, and I think, just like you, it's a scary situation each day that goes by and you don't see something.
So OEM is Office of Emergency Management, and then there's what was Widener? He is under the Emergency Management Authority, I believe. So there's even another way of describing the Office of Emergency Management.
And it's interesting you would say this. Our understanding was that the boy's biological parents are separated or no longer married, and I think his mother may have remarried, and he may have a stepbrother now along those lines.
Okay, Beres got this all wrong. He does not have a stepbrother. He has a stepsister, and even then, I don't know if she is if that's just by name. I don't know if there's any documents that lists them as being step siblings. Once again, this, all of the divorce kind of paperwork and all of that may have needed to establish the stepsister's role and Sebastian's role as siblings.
Just with regard, and that is interesting that he happens to be a deputy, or is he at this point? I can imagine. Have you talked with him?
Okay, so listen to the sheriff there. So Beres says he's a deputy, right? And then he has to come back. No. He's an officer. He's an officer.
Is he off now helping over there? How is he handling it?
I haven't talked to him or about him. It came to me yesterday, the day before, I guess.
Listen to that. I haven't talked to him. I mean, I kind of heard about him.
That the biological father is an officer with us, but and I think he's been here about a year or so. But other than that, I don't know much of the relationship. And again,
would he take time off? Would you give him time off?
Sure. He and I would assume if again, this is a weird situation.
He is being very diplomatic here, as we all know. He is being very, very diplomatic and gracious towards the father and his job at Davidson County. Ooh.
Because it's not him saying, "Hey, I need off. My son is missing." That's not happened yet that I know of. But and we have 1,000 employees, so it's a little hard and hard for us to even know that. We have a woman who handles our retention, basically works with people who are going through all sorts of issues, and she did put it out. I understand yesterday to our some of our folks to let them know that he is actually the biological father. So that was all brewing yesterday. We had folks who were up there, like I said, with their dogs. We've had other folks who are kind of in crews or that are potentially going to help. And it just kind of depends on what we're doing and what we're looking for. And we always get in the situation of, are we on the clock paying people to go on our teams, or are we doing volunteer work? And it's just kind of if it's in the county.
Yeah, they're on the clock. Was he off the clock? When did he go back on the clock? Off the clock, on the clock. A retention has to be the department that informs everyone else that he may be the biological father. Okay, very confusing stuff here.
Usually it's on the payroll. It just gets a little hairy as to and we're short staffed, and we're paying overtime here to send people up there, and it's just hard to decide exactly what's the right thing to do. You want to be a good Samaritan, you want to help, and we do a lot of that. But it would be wrong for me to sit here and say we send people every time someone is missing. We kind of wait and see what our roles need to be, and Amber Alert stuff was going off, of course, all over the place. So
we are back on Morning Line. Thanks for joining us. Davidson County Sheriff Darren Hall's with us. We're going to get to your phone calls in a moment. I just had one quick follow-up question with regard to this missing child in Sumner County. You've handled in the past, or your office has, and your deputies, missing children cases, along probably in partnership with the police department. What is it, and how do you approach it? With a period of time. Right now, the thinking is this child, autistic, perhaps wandered away. But as more time passes, when do you start considering the possibility of other options?
Yeah, and I don't have expertise.
Again, general. I know you're not involved in Sumner.
Right. Yeah, I was thinking back as we were waiting to come back on, but I remember, this was a long time ago, I remember our staff, going out searching for Janet March's body. I mean, I'm just going through stories back, and of course the silver alerts. You have a lot of different times where there's people that I think personally that always worries me when you have someone who is very elderly who may not know exactly how to get back, and very unlikely that foul play is in that situation as much as it is just worry that they were lost and can't get. In the children thing, to me, 24 hours, 48 hours, 72 hours. How can this individual be alive and functioning, at some stage of just the natural needs for an individual. And so, You know, I guess I always think of it this way. It's just extra sets of eyes, bodies walking, talking, asking in the streets. Our staff, just like everyone else, you know, would like to volunteer and help. That's what we do. We're usually a part of a large team sweeping areas. And, you know, but again, you know, look how...
This is so interesting how he uses the term their natural needs. But did you ever hear of any of the volunteers leaving like on trees, a little pack of survival, you know, a little pouch of water, a map, a compass, um, you know, a walkie-talkie, you know, anything like that? So people have natural needs, but then we're not making sure that if they were to come across or they're lost, that they would have some natural needs left, you know, left here and there to maybe find.
Big an area, and if you don't have some idea of where you're looking in some simple version of what you're doing, it's incredibly difficult to find.
And entirely possible that the child could have wandered. But I mean, I'm just wondering, to me, and in my career following this.
Ooh, so he grimaced at that the child could have just wandered. Beres says, is like, ooh, yeah, I'm not too sure about that.
I just don't believe that a child completely vanishes without a trace and is never found. Okay, meaning on their own. And that's my take, is that the longer, and I'm not referring to the Sumner case, it's still early enough that I don't go there. But I'm telling you, if there's no trace of this child found in a week, or even this time next week, I will have serious questions about whether or not foul play was involved. Because even if the child is not alive, eventually maybe you find, oh my gosh, wandered into the body of water. We found his body. Oh, how tragic. And you pull him, he wandered in there. Or he fell down a ravine and killed himself, or something like that. But short of finding anything, that's why I think someone was involved to hide a situation.
Well, right. I mean, at some point, you know, I'm like you. I don't understand how someone, you know, that is not sophisticated, and I'm talking about in living, you know, in a survivalist or something like that. I mean, that's not the case. I mean, how are you going to live, and where are you going to live in today's world where, you know, I don't believe you'd have the skills to accomplish that. Therefore, something...
I mean, here's the sheriff. I mean, you know, but the family just never wanted to come out and make it, you know, he would need assistance. No, he would know how to get home. He knows how to get to his father's house from here. He's practically an Eagle Scout. And that just isn't the case. So with all that, I'm going to go ahead and we'll wrap it up here. We are about 10 minutes into the interview. We'll return to it tomorrow. And I want to say thank you very much for stopping by. This has been Beauty Bubble, a new voice on the case, June 10th, 2025, focused on Sebastian Rogers. So we'll go ahead and remove that, and I will stop the screen, and then we will present the poster. Let me get to it. And there we go. This should really be, if you are covering the case at all, this should be very at the quick and ready for everyone, everybody. I'm going to lead out with it. And you can go to the FBI, just go FBI Sebastian, and it'll come up right away. So you can grab the poster, you can download the poster, you can read the poster for yourself if you would like. And then what I will do is, let me get into my version. And let's see where we are. OBS Elements. And where, here we go. And we'll go ahead and expand it and read it to you guys. Okay, this is the missing person. This is the FBI's poster for Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers. This poster was updated not too long ago, where it reads February 26th, 2024. He went missing from Hendersonville, Sumner County, Tennessee. His birth date is December 7th, 2008. So he was 15 when he vanished. He would be 16 right now, coming into the mid part of the 2025. He had blonde or brown hair, brown or hazel eyes. His height was 5 feet 5 inches when he vanished. His weight was 120 pounds. He is a male. He is of the white race. There is a $50,000 reward for information leading to the whereabouts of Sebastian. He has ties to Clarksville, Tennessee. This is where his father is from and still living there. The details are such. Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers was last seen on February 25th, 2024 in the area of Stafford Court in Hendersonville, Tennessee. That would be in the Victoria Place subdivision off of Hollow Pike, if I'm saying that right, Hollow Pike Road. I should go back. It's Long Hollow. I'll go back, but we did the map work yesterday. He was wearing a black sweatshirt, black sweatpants, and black square framed glasses. Sebastian has medical conditions, plural, medical conditions, including autism, that may impair his ability to return safely without assistance. And then you have all of the tip line information. If you can remember this, tips.fbi.gov, and the field office is Nashville. You can also contact the American Embassy if you are out of the country and see him, or the consulate. So that is the missing persons poster. If you are at all speaking on this case, if you are at all using the hashtag Sebastian Rogers in your content on YouTube, please have the missing person poster at the ready to share with the public. I want to thank you so much for stopping by. Once again, this has been BeautyBubble for a new voice on the case, and we will, as always, believe and have the faith that he will be found, safe and whole and returned to a safe home. Thank you so much. Bye-bye now.